A very good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. I'm Ramesh Bandara, come to you live and direct from Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Good evening, Nicola.
Good evening, Ramesh. I'm Nicola De Zoiza. We start off tonight with a look at the day's top stories.
Kumar Dissanayake in Parliament exposes former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's deals with China. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and his son Nama Rajapaksa not in Parliament during debate on New York Times expose. Debate met with constant interruptions. Former Divisional Secretary sentenced to 5 years in prison for soliciting a bribe of 50,000 rupees. British MP faces suspension over secret Sri Lanka freebies from Sri Lankan government during official visit in 2013. New draft of the constitution compiled by expert committee met with opposition from Parliament.
Chief Opposition Whip Kumar Dissanayake made a statement in Parliament today regarding former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and members of his family who are alleged to have received money from Chinese companies during the run-up to the 2015 presidential election. The JVP leader made the revelations during the adjournment motion debate on the recent expose made by the New York Times.
On the 5th of May 2012, Colombo International Container Terminals Limited, or CICT, a company which the China government owns a majority share, is alleged to have made a payment of $150,000 to Pushpa Rajapaksa, the wife of former Minister Basil Rajapaksa. The payment is said to have been made from a dollar account of the HSBC to a rupee account at the same bank.
CICT Samagami Rupial.
A sum of 19,410,000 rupees has been transferred from a rupee account to an account under the name Pushpa Rajapaksa Foundation at the main branch of the People's Bank, bearing the number 204-100-1500-3290 through a cheque numbered 594191 issued by CICT Company. What does the audit report say regarding this transaction? The amount paid by the company to Pushpa Rajapaksa has been recorded in accounts as an amount belonging to the CICT project. The agreement expires in 35 years. Once the agreement expires, the CICT dock will belong to us. When we get back the ownership, we have to make a payment to them. How do we make this payment? The payment must be paid according to the book value of the amount incurred for the development of movable assets and terminals. That book value also includes the amount paid to Pushpa. If someday the Sri Lankan government takes back the ownership of that dock, the Sri Lankan government will have to pay the amount given to Pushpa Rajapaksa as well. Aren't these frauds? Are these the people who shout about patriotism? The Rajapaksa family has to provide answers about these actions.
It has also transpired that on the 12th of December 2014, China Harbour Engineering Company Limited had transferred a sum of 39,075,000 rupees to a person named EHRS Francisco through a cheque numbered 981321 from an account at the Standard Chartered Bank bearing the number 0133591919. On the 7th of January 2015, another cheque of 10 million rupees had been given to this individual.
Remember, the election was on the 8th. Commissions were made even on the 7th. On the 9th, they show us how they are packing their things and leaving. So they are collecting checks before they leave as well. Remember who these people are. A sum of 25 million rupees was issued under cheque number 981328. On the 7th of January 2015, another 25 million rupees was issued under cheque number 981336. So these three checks alone totals to 89 million rupees. Francisco says he received this money for 245,000 t-shirts with the image of President Mahinda Rajapaksa with the title Nil Balakaya and for 125,000 caps. Look at what they have done on the 7th. You have to feel sorry for the members in the villages. They are looking for people to go to the polling booth. They are trying to win the election. Checks are being transferred at temple trees. 25 million rupees was transferred under cheque number 981333 and another 25 million from cheque number 981335. So that's 50 million here and 89 million there. That is approximately 140 million. All of this is transferred in a matter of 2 days. The main factor for this mountain of debt are these unsuccessful projects. If the companies which are delivering these unsuccessful projects are funding the president at that time, this gives us a justifiable argument that these projects were given to them solely for this money.
On the 1st of January 2015, China Machinery Engineering Corporation, which built the Norachole coal power plant, had transferred 1,295,000 rupees from a Standard Chartered Bank account bearing the number 135898801 to a person named D.S. Jayasinghe.
He is the closest person to Sarana Gunawardena. These companies had made payments to Sarana Gunawardena as well. A portion of this amount had been spent on campaign hoardings for Mahinda Rajapaksa during the 2015 presidential election. Sarana hasn't spent all of it either. So these checks had been distributed to various places. They calculate the expense for the election and get the Chinese companies to deliver the checks. On the 12th of December 2014, China Harbour Engineering Company Limited had transferred a sum of 58,594,000 rupees through checks numbered 981319 and 981320. MP Priyantha, who is the General Manager at Nation Lanka Finance PLC, is the person who has transferred this. He says Priyantha Samarasinghe encashed the cheque through him after it was given by Anura Chandra Siri, who served as an executive director there. This money was taken to Temple Trees with Anura Chandra Siri on the 31st of December 2014 and was given to Hema Madivela at the President's Operations Office. This time, our country hasn't been invaded by swords. It has been invaded through loans and commissions. So with whom do we have the real struggle for freedom? How do we gain our economic freedom?
We exposed China's modus operandi on a number of occasions with examples from other countries as well.
Now, what is done here is, first, China attempted to change state type. Basically from democracy to autocracy.
Okay.
So you back an autocratic ruler. The idea is to remove democratic oversight. Once you remove democratic oversight, they get unsolicited contracts. And the second state, the prescription is similar in everywhere. Now, then they increase the price of the contract. Then the government of the Maldives gives a sovereign guarantee to that increased price. But the asset value of what is done through the loan is $100 million.
Okay.
So, but the government obligation is $300 million. So we can, of course, obviously not pay back a $300 million debt with an asset value of $100 million. So the idea of increasing the price, or the level to which the price is increased, is to the level where the business plan fails. So then we are trapped in debt. You will not be able to pay that. So China is increasingly using debt as a disciplining agent. So they are using debt as a leverage on political issues.
Work permits for foreigners are supposed to be given for work which no Kenyan can do. When a fellow Chinese who cannot speak English is manning a gate and Kenyans are looking for jobs, what are you talking about, you fellows? Let's get to the bottom of this matter quickly. Lastly, can we afford 1 million shillings a day? What are you saying? These people are like, this thing is going to become like the port of Sierra Leone and Sri Lanka.
At a time when there are plenty of examples on China's business module, the present Sri Lankan government continues to work closely with them. The present government, in fact, criticized Chinese projects before the 2015 presidential election, and once they came into power, they decided to suspend the Colombo Port City project and days later recommence the project. They even leased out the Hambantota port to China for 99 years, citing that the debt for the project was a burden to the country. Therefore, the port was vested with a company that was established in a manner where a majority stake is owned by the Chinese. It has already been agreed with the Exim Bank of China to secure a loan for the construction of the first phase of the Central Expressway, and there are attempts being made to hand over the construction to a Chinese company as well. Recently, the Prime Minister also went on to state China is preparing to invest in a number of projects, including electricity and LNG plants. It was through the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management chaired by the Prime Minister and also saw inclusion of Minister Malik Samaravikrama that prepared the plans to enforce most of the Chinese projects and even launch new ones. When will Sri Lankan politicians learn a lesson?
Questions are being asked as to how Sri Lanka can give our airports and ports away when certain quarters have no regard for the laws and procedures in Sri Lanka. News First will keep a close watch.
Now, since we have a limited time on our news bulletin, we are not able to air the entire statement made by MP Anurakumara Dissanayake in Parliament today. However, all our viewers can watch the entire statement on Sunday at 10:30 p.m. on Sirasa TV. Today's debate in Parliament concluded 45 minutes before schedule due to the lack of quorum in the House. At the latter stages of the debate, there were only 9 MPs remaining, and during the debate, comments were made on the absence of the Rajapaksa family in Parliament.
It is better if you would read out the first paragraph on the newsletter that sets out the basis for this adjournment motion.
You need to propose to me on how to commence this debate. We were hoping that former President Mahinda Rajapaksa would be here, but we have been made aware that he is currently overseas.
I request you to reveal this to the House on what that report is.
This is unnecessary. I am putting forward a series of matters on record. This is not based on a newspaper article.
The Committee on Parliamentary Affairs had set out guidelines, but this is not taking place according to that.
They were not paying attention to the proposal when it was being read out. Now they are acting confused.
I am not speaking on newspaper reports. This is my proposal. I will read it out again.
The allegation he is referring to is based in the New York Times. Please read out the said allegation so we can get on with this debate.
We are speaking about the matters relating to the article headlined How China Got Sri Lanka to Cough Up a Port.
He was referring to the Sunday Times and not the New York Times.
Please respond. Billions in cash had been given. It is reported that checks to the value of 1,390 million was encashed and was handed over to Temple Trees. When looking at it, the person who had given the money says he handed it over to an employee at Temple Trees named Hema Madiwala. The issue is, Hema Madiwala is no longer in the living. We have strong reason to believe that the death of this person is a mystery, or is like a new theory, just like Grandma Daisy's bag of gems.
A British MP has been suspended for 30 days in the House of Commons after he was found guilty of breaking Westminster rules over luxury trips worth over 22 million rupees at the cost of Sri Lankan taxpayers during the government of former Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2013. According to foreign media reports, the 30-day suspension, if confirmed by a Commons vote, is thought to be the longest period any MP has been barred from the Commons for 15 years.
The ban has been imposed on Ian Paisley Jr. of the Democratic Unionist Party for failing to disclose free luxury holidays he and his family received from the then government of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. According to a recent report published by The Telegraph, Ian Paisley Jr. had made 2 trips with his family in 2013 at the expense of the Sri Lankan government. Paisley is reported to have written to then Prime Minister David Cameron in support of the Sri Lankan government about a proposed United Nations resolution at the Human Rights Council. The Common Standards Committee said in view of the seriousness of this matter, it recommended that Paisley be suspended from the service of the House for a period of 30 sitting days starting on the 4th of September 2018. A damning report concluded that his actions amounted to paid advocacy and bring the House of Commons into disrepute. The Independent Standards Commissioner, Catherine Stone, found that the hospitality received might reasonably be thought by others to influence the speech, representation or communication in question. Meanwhile, Colombo High Court Judge Gihan Kulatunga today sentenced a former Divisional Secretary of the Akurana Pradesh Sabha, Mohammad Hanifa Mohammad Niaz, to 5 years of rigorous imprisonment after he was proven guilty of bribery charges. The suspect was proven guilty of 2 indictments over demanding and soliciting a bribe of 50,000 rupees in 2012 from an owner of a quarry to provide recommendations required to obtain explosives to operate a quarry. A British MP was handed a 30-day suspension for making trips at the expense of the Sri Lankan government. A former Divisional Secretary was sentenced to 5 years rigorous imprisonment for soliciting a 50,000 rupee bribe. Yet, what will happen to those who accepted funds from China and swindled billions of rupees through the central bank bond scam and other transactions?
We're now going for a short commercial break, but before that, here's our news segment, Question of the Day.
Question of the day. Which country is investing in the Mattala International Airport? China, India, Japan, Korea.
The National Export Strategy for the years 2018 to 2022 was launched today. The project was driven by the Ministry of Development Strategies and International Trade, as well as the Export Development Board.
The NES focuses on 6 sectors for innovation and export diversification. These 6 sectors include spices and concentrates, wellness tourism, electrical and electronic components, IT and BPM, processed food and beverages, and boat building.
The launch of this 5-year national export strategy is aimed at accelerating our export growth, creating high-income jobs in the export sector, promoting new enterprises to become exporters, and attract foreign direct investment into especially the export-oriented sectors. This strategy has been formulated over many months with very active and direct participation of the private sector. Making this transition to an export and FDI-led growth trajectory is challenging, but it is the only option available for us if we are to create better jobs for our young people. It is the only way we can be sure of making a sustainable transition into a higher income trajectory.
This is not only a strategy for, it's not only a national export strategy, it's also a jobs and income strategy, because global trade today is being conducted in the most intensely competitive environment, driven by the rapid advances in science and technology that now underpin industry and commerce. We can no longer say that we will make shoes to carry on with the apparel. We have to go up the value chain. We have to exploit this. We have signed a FTA with Singapore, and both Singapore and us agree this will not apply to the free movement of people, whatever they shout. What is the threat that Singapore can have for us? But what's the investment Singapore can have? And I will tell you that none of us want any domestic enterprise to be adversely affected. Our domestic enterprises have withstood the opening of the markets in 1977. We have grown, and we are now bringing for the first time a trade adjustment policy. So this is the only way. Unless you have money, you can't ensure any of those. And you can't have money unless you earn your foreign exchange.
The beneficial owner of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Arjun Aloysius, and CEO Kasun Palisena were further remanded until the 2nd of August.
Arjun Aloysius and Kasun Palisena were produced before Fort Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna this afternoon. For the first time, there was legal representation for Perpetual Treasuries Limited for this case filed in court. Kasun Palisena was today permitted to sign a report on his assets and liabilities in court. The Attorney General's Department informed court there is a rumour claiming that one of the SIMs recovered from the prison ward in which Arjun Aloysius is held had been used by an underworld figure in the same ward to orchestrate a murder in the south. The AG's department said investigations are continuing into the mobile phones and SIM cards that were recovered. The Department of Prisons was warned by the magistrate to ensure that facilities are made available to suspects when they are brought to court, as Arjun Aloysius and Kasun Palisena complained through their attorneys that they were not given lunch. The Prisons Department said lunch was brought to court when the suspects were produced before the magistrate.
Time now for another commercial break, but before that, here's the answer, the question of the day.
The country that is investing in the Mattala International Airport is India.
Newsfirst.lk awarded the gold medal for for the best news website and the gold medal for the best overall website at the Best Web 2018 Awards Ceremony.
Welcome back to the news. The launch of yet another scheme in the Samata Sevana Yali Pibidena Udagamana program took place today.
This is the 910th model village initiated by Minister Sajith Premadasa. This village in Siribopura Hambantota has been named as Sahitapati Ahubudugama. A grant of 500,000 rupees was also handed to residents of this village, which is being built with aid from the government of India. This is not patriotism. They are using patriotism, selling our country and our assets to enjoy family luxuries. Whether this is good or bad, the people must answer. The people must be held responsible. It is the people who use their vote to elect their Pradesh Sabhas, urban councils, presidents and parliamentarians. Then the people must be responsible when dollar thieves and these rogues are re-elected. We must decide now whether we will continue to be hoodwinked by these lies.
It was revealed before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry that Sri Lankan Airlines was compelled to reveal their trade secrets to Kumar Stickers Private Limited. Zulfiq Farzan filed this report.
The then manager of advertising today informed the commission that former CEO Kapila Chandosena had instructed her to give all possible hoardings to Kumar Stickers Private Limited for advertising, irrespective of the fact that the supplier had the right or not for the site. The witness noted despite getting a hoarding in Kandana at fairly lower rates compared to Kumar Stickers Private Limited, the management at Sri Lankan Airlines had instructed to stop the construction of the structure, and this had led to a serious issue thereafter. The group internal auditor testifying today said in an audit carried out in 2013, they uncovered that no approvals had been obtained when selecting Kumar Stickers Private Limited as the supplier. He added there was no approval for the contracts given to Kumar Stickers Private Limited and Vihanga Marketing and Advertising Services Private Limited to the contract value of over 108 million rupees. He noted at one instance they came across an invoice from Vihanga Marketing and Advertising Services Private Limited using the letterhead of Kumar Stickers. In addition, he went on to state, though there was an approved company procurement process, various departments followed the process according to their preferred ways, which had resulted in an issue in performing audits as well. It was revealed since last year the post of head of marketing is vacant, though interviews were called for the position. Then CEO Suren Ratwatta had promised a witness who also applied to the post that the interviews will be held again. However, no such interview had taken place.
It is for 40 years. Agreement on infrastructure facilities are often long-term agreements. It is different for industries, since those are direct with the customers because we can charge for them. Infrastructure facilities will have to be there for a long time, compared to 5 to 10 years taken for a factory.
The joint opposition convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
Now there is a link that I have with China Harbour and the Hambantota Corporation as well. Before entering politics, I was a subcontractor for them. I am suspicious whether Ranjan Ramanayaka will say that Indika Anuruddha is the man through whom they gave 2 or 3 million. I asked him to investigate. Now Mahinda Rajapaksa cannot contest the 2020 presidential election. Then what is the problem with Gotabaya coming forward? There is time till 2020. We eat Kiribat at the auspicious time, not during the Nonagadaya period. We are not ready to do that. That means you have some people who keep mentioning his name. No, that is not what we meant. But Gotabaya is on a separate path with intellectuals and professionals. Basil Rajapaksa is also on a separate path. The candidate that is a culmination of all this work will be decided by President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
A group of fishermen who managed to rescue another group of 8 fishermen whose vessel had met with an accident. The ill-fated vessel had set off to sea from the Thotamuna area in Mathura.
This group of fishermen had set off to sea on the 15th aboard a vessel which had a motor attached to it. When it was 6 nautical miles away from the courts, the sailing vessel had toppled over due to strong waves. A group of fishermen who were travelling in a multi-day fishing boat nearby had managed to rescue the group in need of help. Our correspondent said the rescue men were from Totamuna, Matara.
We were on the overturned vessel for half an hour. We managed to cling onto it, but the strong waves proved it difficult. But another boat reached our location and we boarded that.
It was revealed in Parliament today that the new draft constitution prepared by the experts committee had been rejected.
6 members of the team of 10 have signed this and 4 have not. This draft had been prepared together by Jayampathy Wickramaratne, Sumandiran and Suren Fernando. For the first time, the President can be removed by the Prime Minister, Speaker and the opposition leader by working together. The constitution was prepared by all in Parliament as well as all the parties. So how can 3 to 4 people draft a constitution? One of those who signed the document has not visited the country in 6 months. This is a serious issue because MP Jayampathy Wickramaratne had told the newspaper that the draft constitution will be presented on the 18th. There was a meeting chaired by the Prime Minister yesterday. When this was being looked into, there was a conflict of opinions among those consultants. Do not always think you can look at that side and give them the opportunity. You are the speaker. We are presenting facts with respect. It was rejected at the steering committee. It is an important matter. The final proposal was that the team of consultants must reach an agreement and then produce a document.
Expert panel
It has been rejected by the experts panel. It is to be rediscussed among them. This is a zero draft.
Large-scale corruption investigations running into billions of rupees appears to be going nowhere. Elections are due in under 2 years' time. There are growing concerns that in spite of the various investigations, closure appears far off the horizon. Some of the high-value items that the Commission of Inquiry that has not started looking at includes cancellation of 3 A350-900 aircraft on lease value rupees 14.3 billion. Extra cost of nearly $2 million for failing to return an Airbus A320 aircraft leased from an Indian company. Losing the EASA or European Aviation Safety Agency certification over a number of shortcomings. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the issuance of bonds where the losses have been estimated by experts at over 600 billion rupees over 30 years is yet to see any prosecutions based on the recommendations of the COI. With the elections fast approaching, there is growing concern that no meaningful progress will be made in terms of bringing accountability and responsibility. The 12th of March declaration asking the people to vote wisely and ensure the criminal and corrupt elements should not be elected to serve in Parliament has taken on a new and urgent meaning.
Well, that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Ramesh Rugal Bandara. Take care
Good
and
night.
good night.